welcome back. I thought I'd talk to you today about a wild edible that has the potential to ruin your summer. Stay tuned. I've been out for a walk in this area right here. Is a big field, quite a disturbed area, and there is a lot of this plant that you can see behind me that's really tall. It is called the wild parsnip. So the wild parsnip was brought to North America from European settlers back in the day. The roots of these plants were harvested. They have a large parsnip taproot basically. And now they have kind of gone absolutely wild in the environment. And did you know that these plants have the aerial portions of them, like the flowers, the stems, and the leaves, are highly toxic and produce a sap that makes you oversensitive to the sun and can lead to second-degree burns. So when the settlers used to harvest this back in the day, it was the first year of the growth that they would harvest the taproot. Typically, you would not harvest it in summertime when the leaves and everything was really active. Because you could get these horrible, horrible burns on your skin. These plants are a member of the carrot family. Let's take a look at them. So there's a super dense stand right here. I'm gonna be really careful. This one right here, it's a 2-year-old biennial plant. So it means that the first year you get just a little bit of green growth, and I'm being really careful here. There's a first year plant right there. Kind of looks like celery. It's got this deep grooved stem, and you can see this little stalk right here. I'm pointing at this right here, and it kind of has celery-like leaves. This is a first-year plant. These plants right here are all 2 years old. After they flower and go to seed, they typically die. There's a few that go on a little bit longer. So as you can see here, this wild parsnip's already gone to seed. One of these plants can produce 975 seeds. So the seeds can travel through the wind, through water, you can get caught up on your lawnmower, and it can spread really rapidly in disturbed areas. As you can see in this plant, there's still a bit of fresh green growth, so still risky to be in contact with it as the sap comes out of those leaves. So you see beside me, the wild parsnip is about as tall as me. So this one you can see has a few of the yellow petals left on there, usually big yellow flowers, these big yellow umbels. Then they eventually go to seed, and some of the leaves are sort of dying off on the stem right here. These plants love disturbed areas like roadsides, old fields, anywhere where there's been a lot of disturbance, and full sun as their preferred location. In Canada, parsnip is everywhere except Nunavut. So everyone has to be really, really careful and aware of this plant. Especially kids really need to know about this plant because it can be so damaging to your skin. So other members of this family include the wild carrot, like Queen Anne's lace, hogweed, angelica, cow parsnip. So there's lots of these types of plants, and they all contain varying amounts of a chemical in their sap. And what these do is they sensitize your skin to ultraviolet light. So if you're ever to get the sap from this plant on your skin, and if you don't get it off quick enough, you can end up with second-degree burns because it just makes your skin more prone to getting horrible blistering sunburns. I don't like this plant either because it reduces biodiversity. As you can see in this area here, there's just so much of it around. It's choking out other native species. It reduces the quality of farmers like forage. Like if you're trying to grow different crops like alfalfa and you get there, not only does it reduce the quality of your forage, the animals just, there are side effects to it if an animal is to eat the parsnip. So really not good to have around. So the good thing about it, in some cases I've heard they've been able to use wild parsnip to remediate soil from heavy metals like lead and cadmium. So I guess there is an upside. So this plant is pretty awful because once your skin gets these blisters, they're very painful, they can get infected, and they can scar. So it's not like poison ivy where you get like allergic reaction on your skin. This is actually a burn, a chemical burn that happens when the sap touches your skin and sensitizes it to UV. So these horrible, disgusting blisters, and they scar over time. And it's been shown that your skin can be even more sensitive to sunlight for even up to 2 years after contact. So I had a super close call with the parsnip and Queen Anne's lace actually this week. Royce got away on me, and he wasn't going far, but he's going in an area where I didn't want him to go. And so I made the fatal mistake, well, I guess it was a calculated decision to kind of run through a very large stand of Queen Anne's lace with parsnip kind of intermingled in there. So it was fine, the dog, I got him back, no big deal. But I knew right away I was in trouble. I realized I kind of knew what I was getting into and where I was going, and realized I need to take action really quickly before I had a problem. So it was a bright sunny day like it is today, and so what I had to do, I had shorts on naturally, and right away I could see that I damaged some of the stems of the Queen Anne's lace and probably a little bit of parsnip leaves in there. So the best thing to do if you're in my situation is to decontaminate yourself as fast as possible in the field. So I knew I had gone through that area, I knew it was sunny, I knew it would be a bit of time before I could get home and properly wash. So I put my legs in a puddle. We had a lot of rain recently, so I clean my legs, scrub my arms. If you're in the field and you happen to have soap and water, clean yourself really, really well. If you happen to have one of those special poison ivy wipes that have a bit of detergent in them, like kind of on a baby wipe, those are really helpful as well. So I didn't have that, so I washed myself really quickly, and I need to get home and out of the sunlight really, really fast. So the next step after decontaminating yourself as best as you can, even if maybe if you have a water bottle, you can start scrubbing it off your legs. Get home, get in the shade. I immediately had a proper, shower with soap and really scrubbed my legs and my arms because I knew that's kind of the most point of contact that I had with those plants. And then next thing, cover up at least for 48 to 72 hours. You don't want your skin to be exposed to UV light. So what I did is I wore pants even though it was super hot out. And I even, I got some sunscreen on my legs if there was a time where I didn't want to wear pants. You just cannot let your skin that's been exposed to the sap of those plants get exposed to sunlight. So I have these pants from Cabela's. They're from North Face, and they are UV proof, UPF 40+. So they're really comfortable, really great hikers, lots of pockets, even a zippered pocket right here. Very light and breathable, but they have UV protection for if you were to get exposed to these plants to kind of keep your skin covered. So I really lucked out. I got a little bit of a rash and burning on the first day, even though I did the decontamination. I kept myself covered with the UV pants, even used sunscreen and used sunscreen when I was wearing shorts. And I really lucked out. We're about 4 days out now, and the rash is dissipating with no blisters. So if you were to get the blisters from the skin reaction, keep your skin covered, talk to your doctor. Sometimes they have to prescribe steroid cream or pills to help with the pain and the swelling from the blistering. I always want to kind of keep them clean. Always let a doctor pierce them. Don't poke the blisters yourself. You could end up causing a massive infection, where you had it. So yeah, not great to work with. Parsnip, I highly recommend if you have this invading in your property to have someone who's trained to come remove it. If you're working with this, you have to have eye protection, full body, gear on, and use detergent, on your clothing as you take it off, and scrub yourself after. There's been so many people working with parsnip, especially on bright sunny days, trying to remediate it, getting horrific burns on their body. So you don't want to work with it in the sun, and you got to protect yourself. I would just honestly leave it to professionals. And you don't want to wreck your summer. I know it's annoying to have it on your property, but it's pretty tricky to get rid of. You'd rather leave that to the professionals to deal with, so you don't don't get stuck inside in the dark, like a vampire for your entire summer, possibly for even a few years, depending on how bad your burns are. So be super careful out there, guys. And honestly, I wouldn't bother foraging for this. So not all the members of the plants in this family have as high level of the Phumero coumarins as this plant does, the wild parsnip, but they do have them to some degree. So best to be really careful, working with members of this family, especially hogweed. That one's a really nasty one too. You want to get a professional to remove that if you find that invasive species in your garden. Well, I hope you guys have a great day and have learned a little bit more about these invasive and very dangerous plants that you can find in these disturbed areas. All right, if you have any questions, leave them below down in the comments, and have a great summer. Take care.